I don't want to pretend. I don't want to pretend that this is not a challenging time to be alive. There's a lot of people can gloss it over and say it's like we're not children. So when we're children and we get scared, our parents tell us, "Sweetheart, everything's going to be okay. I'm here to protect you. You have nothing to worry about. Everything's going to be okay." But we're all adults, so I can't. As much as part of me wants to be able to say that to all of you, but I can't. I can't say that be an honest man. But what I would like, and what would help me feel stronger, would be to, because you see, what gives us strength on a human level is knowing that we're here for each other. So this helps. So if you know that I'm here for you and I'm here to support you through this, that if we know we're here for each other, we're here to support each other, this gives a feeling of spiritual self-confidence. So I'm here for all of you, to support you in any way that I can. And if I know that you're here to support me, similarly, then together we feel a spiritual strength, a moral strength and a spiritual strength that's indestructible, and that nothing that happens in the world around us can affect. But the main thing is that if that's true, if you feel that way, then we have to find a way to stay together. We have to find a way to stay together no matter what, and we wouldn't allow any external fears or any external circumstances to break that bond or to break that faith, to break that connection. Because the worst thing that can happen is if we allow the existential pressure of external circumstances break that link or break that connection, then we fall into the small self. And when we crumble, whenever any of us allow ourselves to crumble into the small self, we're lost, because in the small self there's no way out, there's no salvation, and there's no higher truth. You follow? But that's the greatest gift we can give each other, which is, I call it in evolutionary enlightenment, spiritual self-confidence. So from a metaphysical perspective, the main cause of ignorance and delusion is the turning away. Is the act of turning away from that which frightens us, that which we don't want to know, is the turning away. And metaphysically and spiritually, that's what creates all the karma. It's the avoidance or the denial of the resistance, the avoidance, the denial and the resistance of hard truths. So it's when we turn away. It's the turning away from reality or from that which is difficult that creates so much karma, so much karma, so much karma, waves and waves and waves of it. And so we have to find the courage to be able to not do that. It's not easy. But we have to have the courage not to turn away, and to stay strong, even if we're frightened, even if we feel fear. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we feel fear, or it doesn't matter if we feel insecurity. But we mustn't turn away. We mustn't resist what may actually be true. And the more we can face what's actually true, even if it's difficult, the stronger we're going to be, the stronger we'll be. And nobody knows, none of us know what's going to happen, so we can't predict it. But we can practice being strong. I said that spiritually, and many of the great traditions speak about this in different ways, it's the turning away. It's the turning away from that which frightens us, from that which we want to avoid, that which we don't want to know about. It's the turning away that creates the karma. It's when we deny the truth. And so, while it's not easy, while it's I think spiritually it's the ultimate challenge not to do that. for all of us. I mean, we're all human beings. So we're all imperfect human beings who at times can become very frightened and insecure. The hardest thing is not to turn away. But if we can find the courage not to do that and stay strong, even if we're frightened, it'll change everything. Because from a certain point of view, in terms of these bigger challenges, from a certain point of view in relationship to these bigger challenges, either we find the courage to face them with courage, or we turn away and we'll be, sooner or later we'll be crushed, and we'll be crushed by the very thing that we didn't want to face. And that's when we lose control of our own. I believe that's when we lose control of our own destiny. Don't panic. Don't indulge in negative thinking. Try as much as you possibly can to see the reality of the present moment in bigger and bigger contexts. So that means always trying to like step back and see what's the present moment in a bigger context, and then step back again and see the present moment in a bigger context, and step back again and see the present moment in a bigger context, and step back again. Because if we go in the other direction, with we see everything gets very small and very narrow and very personal. Very small, very narrow, very personal. And then we start suffocating under the pressure of our ego's fears. Our psychic space begins to become suffocating under the weight of all of our ego's fears, and that's when we start to lose our minds. That's what going mad. That's what going mad is. That's what happens when people lose their mind, when they go mad. So, just to keep making the effort to step back and see things in a bigger context, and to keep going back again, see things in a bigger context, and step back again and again, keeping on stepping back, and try to. And in the evolutionary enlightenment, this is the fourth principle of evolutionary enlightenment, which we did discuss briefly on the retreat, which is called embracing a process perspective. So that means seeing the reality of the present moment, which means we see our emotional experience, our psychological experience, our physical experience, our local experience, like you would have maybe in your dentist's office, the context of your work, the work with your relationship with the people you work with, your relationship with your husband, then your relationship with your family, your life in Bangalore. You begin to see all of that in the context of all of humanity. So you start seeing all of that personal experience in the context of all of humanity, and then from all of humanity to all of life. And then begin to see it in the context of a global context or world context. And then eventually, in a context that's literally cosmic, that involves not just this planet, but this galaxy. And then not just this galaxy, but the whole universe. And then if there's not just one universe, then if there's many universes, if there's multiverses, seeing your personal experience from all of these snapshots, trying to gently remind yourself, or we remind ourselves that this moment, this human moment that we're experiencing now, is the product of a cosmic process that's in progress, that's unfolding. And remember, from the perspective of the teachings, that the evolutionary process, which is who and what we all are, is immortal and indestructible also. As the uncreated and the unborn is immortal and indestructible, so is the evolutionary impulse, the energy and intelligence that created the universe, the energy intelligence that's creating the universe right now, that's awakening to itself through the body, mind, personality of Apurva. That impulse is indestructible and is immortal also. So realizing the immortality of not only the unborn and uncreated part of who we all are, but the indestructible and immortal nature of the creative part of creative process as a whole, that we're all part and parcel of, and seeing that creative process isn't going anywhere and it can't be destroyed. That is the creator of the universe. Of course, it takes enormous spiritual and mental discipline to cognize these kind of contemplations, but we need to do it again and again and again, which is reminding ourselves who we really are. Because, for example, Apurva, how old are you?
29.
29. So Apurva is a very young woman, and Apurva, the existence of a body-mind person, the body, mind, soul, and personality of Apurva is a temporary, so far temporary appearance in a cosmic process that's literally been unfolding for billions of years. And Apurva is not separate from that cosmic process. And the energy and intelligence that's driving that cosmic process is immortal and indestructible. So the palpable vibration of the life energy in your body, mind, and personality that's making it possible for us to have this conversation is immortal and indestructible also. Apurva is not indestructible. But she's only been here for 29 years. That's hardly it's hardly a few seconds in evolutionary time. So when you remember who you really are from the perspective of the Creator God, and you begin to experience the vibration and the pulsation of the evolutionary impulse as your very own self, and begin to perceive its immortal nature, you'll realize that part of you isn't going anywhere, can't die. That's the energy and intelligence that created the universe that's creating it right now. Your body, mind, and personality are temporary appearances. And so the challenge for all of us is to begin to, in terms of our spiritual practice, is to be able to make the effort to feel more into our immortal nature. And then use that glimpse of immortality and that experience of immortality to help us to reflect upon the transient nature of life and death, the transient nature of life, the transient nature of this whole process that's happening here on Earth, and the unique challenges that the human race is in this time in history. And all that, it'll help us enormously to remain stable. To remain stable. And we also have to have compassion for our humanity. So we need to have compassion for our frailty, for our humanity, for our fear of pain and fear of death, and fear of insecurity. We need to have compassion for all of those dimensions of our humanity and each other's humanity, while ideally working very hard to remain conscious of the indestructible and immortal nature of our souls. That's the work at hand for all of us. No? A conscious person has no choice but to live this life as consciously and as fully as possible. I mean, to live this life as consciously and as fully as possible, which means not taking life for granted, not taking even one day for granted, not taking the important relationships in our life for granted, not taking our relationships for granted, and living and being able to express as much, not just love and kindness, not just expressing love and kindness, because I don't think that's very difficult, but try to be able to express as much consciousness as we can. In any given, any and every situation we're in, how much consciousness can we bring to the present moment, and how profoundly can our own awakened consciousness help to awaken other people? Because we want our presence here in the world to be spiritually profound, spiritually powerful, profound and powerful, so that our presence here on earth was the presence of God, of consciousness. And I don't mean that to sound egotistical for any of us, but I'm speaking honestly. So how awake can we be? How much awakeness can we bring to our lives? Because when we're not awake, we're living in a half awake state. We're living, as you know from our discussions, we're living the life of the small self, which is petty and small and irrelevant, right? Yeah. So I think the greatest gift we can give the world is our own awakeness. If we are truly awake, if we're truly living in we're living a conscious life, in our presence, people will feel more conscious. And part of being more conscious is the awareness that to be conscious of consciousness means something. To be conscious of consciousness means something. It means the awareness. It means we're aware that we're part of it means that we're aware that the ultimate nature of life and death is a conscious presence, is an infinite presence and an infinite intelligence. The knowledge of which awakens us to a sense of meaning, and purposefulness, simply in the consciousness of consciousness. That in the consciousness of consciousness, there's meaning. In that knowing, there's meaning. There's self-reflective knowing, self-reflective meaning. In that self-reflective knowing, and in that self-reflective awareness, there's a knowing of absolute meaning and absolute purpose, which is the knowledge of God.